All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And if you are just joining us, this is VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television. This is the last edition of this morning show for the year. Now we'll move over to Oyo State, where the Grand Mufti of Yoruba land, Sheikh Daoud Imran Molasan, has strongly defended the establishment of a Sharia court in Oyo State, warning critics to desist from opposing it. Now, speaking in a video shared online, Sheikh Molasan argued that Sharia is recognized in the Nigerian constitution and accused opponents of attempting to undermine the legal rights of Muslims. He declared that Sharia has been integral to Nigeria since its inception and vowed that Yoruba land will continue advocating for its establishment. However, the UK branch of the Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere has rejected the move, cautioning that introducing Sharia law could destabilize the southwest region. In a statement, the group's secretary, Engineer Anthony Ajayi, urged Governor Seyi Makinde and Yoruba leaders to resist the initiative, warning that it could sow discord among the region's diverse religious communities. Afenifere emphasized that the Southwest, known for its religious tolerance and enlightenment, should not adopt laws that might divide its people. The proposed Sharia court, set to be inaugurated on January 11, 2025, at the Muslim Community Islamic Center in Oyo State, has drawn widespread debate. While proponents insist it aligns with constitutional rights, critics argue it could erode the peaceful coexistence of Yoruba Christians and Muslims and traditionalists. Now, the controversy has heightened concerns over maintaining unity in multi-ethnic religious region like the Southwest. Oh, well, we still have in the studio with us Barrister Darlington Agommo, Prince Francis Chilaka, and Mr. Chris Oyekere, who joined us from our Benin studios. Gentlemen, thanks for being on this show.
You're welcome.
Barrister Darlington.
Yes.
Now, this is more like a legal or constitutional issue. I would like for you to help the average Nigerian, the average listener understand. Now, Nigeria is a secular state. And the Constitution makes it clear that Nigeria professes no religion. If you come to the Southwest, we have people who practice the Muslim religion. Now they want to establish a Sharia court, principally to try offenders, Muslim offenders, or infractions by Muslims in that part of the country. Now, I want you to help us understand, what are the constitutional and legal implications? Is it proper for people to say, no, we don't want a Sharia law, and all of that? Help us to understand it.
Good, Moses.
Sorry,
I'm not Mr. Okoro. Yes. In section, if you go to our constitution,
okay,
section 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 42, all the rights you're supposed to enjoy as a citizen are there. Freedom of expression, freedom of worship, freedom of association, all of them are there. You'll find it there. But there is a limit, there is a caveat. No freedom is absolute. If that your freedom is going to affect my own freedom, then it is null and void. If that your freedom is going to cause problem within an environment, then it cannot be available to you.
Wouldn't the absence of freedom also cause problem in an environment? The absence of freedom, wouldn't it cause problem in an environment?
No, but yeah, the Muslim community have not told us that they don't have freedom of worship. Have they not been going to mosque here?
It's the same Muslim community that wants to establish the Sharia
That's what I'm saying. That's what they are introducing a new dimension to the freedom they are enjoying.
So shouldn't they?
No, they shouldn't.
Why?
Because Nigeria is a secular state. And the environment they are cannot tolerate such a thing because of the wider implication. Mr. Okoro, you said it here that the Southwest has been have religious tolerance among them. Now imagine, because as I talk to you today, if you go to some Yoruba household, you see Muslims, you see Christians living in the same household. Even a man may marry a Christian and a Muslim at the same time. Is that not true? Good. They are enjoying such privileges. Imagine what will now happen if you bring this court and you have an issue. Maybe a Muslim have an issue with a Christian. And the man insists, no, this matter must be tried in my court. Oh, I'm a Muslim. The other person, maybe who is the complainer, will say, no, we are going to regular court. Is that not anarchy in the making? Is that not anarchy? They are telling you it is for Muslims. Muslims are not operating in isolation in Nigeria. You and I know that.
Barrister Darlington, in some states in the north, we have Muslims and Christians.
Yeah, because
we have Sharia courts and the normal courts too. Has there been problems in the north?
In fact, the problem is even the issue here. In our regular constitutional courts, such a dehumanizing treatment is not meted out to you like you stole a chicken, they cut your hand. You stole a fowl, they cut your leg. And then they won't even keep you there. They will ship you to go and start begging money in other states. Is that proper? No, is that that is the implication of what we are talking about here. Because if you allow it, they will tell you that is what the religion says. You can't do it halfway. You cannot choose it because you must implement it to the letter. As they do it in the north, you must do it in your state. And by the time it starts happening, the same people who support it, we didn't know before. Mama, we didn't know that that's what they're going to do. By that time, anarchy have set in.
All right, now, Mr. Chris, let's bring you into this conversation. Some people have come up to criticize this issue of establishing a Sharia court in Oyo State, saying that it's more like an avenue for, religious cleansing to come in, given the fact that, in Oyo State you have the Christians, you have the Muslims, you have traditionalists, and a whole lot of other persons there. Now, do you also share that line of thought, given the fact that, the Sheikh, Daud Imam, come up to say that they are not going to keep quiet, so nobody should come and say anything about this Sharia court. It must come to be, because that is some people's right to religion. What do you have to say about this? Just suppose what is happening in the north, where we have Sharia courts. For example, in Kano State is known to be one of the Hausa Boko, where you don't do a whole lot of things. I was saying some of the things here sometime, how even if you want to be on a bike, a man cannot be behind another woman on a bike, irrespective of who you are and your relations. There are things you don't do, in states that practice Sharia law. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah. But I hope Malam Daudu knows that the northern Muslims do not even consider the Yoruba Muslims as real Muslims. And that's because of our westernized attitude in the south. We're liberal, even with our religion. So he might not even know the full implication, as the barrister said, of introducing Sharia. When a thing is not expedient, why introduce it? The Muslims in the southwest have been living happily with the laws that have been adopted. Why should we or a group of think that even when the boat is sailing well, we have to rock it by introducing what? Don't even think that the man who is asking for Sharia knows the full implication. The truth of the matter is that laws, as he put it, taking a lot of the cultural inclination of the people you want to impose that law on. Who are the people opposing it now? Is it not the same Yoruba, Afenifere actually, which is a socio-cultural organization that represents both Muslim and Christians in the north? Is it not Afenifere that is at the forefront of opposing it? So we cannot begin to rock the boat and create unnecessary problems when we have peace all around us. If it says it's a constitutional provision, that is not the point of contention. Sharia is not a constitutional provision. When we have the native courts in the north, and then we have courts in the south, and the native courts were now made to be Sharia courts, and they not accepted it because they are predominantly Muslims. So here in the south, operating with customary courts, and it has served the purpose for both Muslims and Christians. So why should you just introduce something that has the potential of creating so much problems? As the example that have been cited, for instance, if they say they should come and cut off your hand or cut off your penis for going to commit adultery and all of that, it's a very strange thing for us in the South. And that is likely to generate a lot of unrest. And then why should we start it at all if we know that we are going to get to that route? If you didn't think that we're going to get to that route, it means you have not thought it through. So I think it is not even an issue that should come up. The Sora group, the Yoruba representative that represent the culture of the people of the Yoruba land, have said they don't want Sharia. And any other, advocacy is to impose it on the Yoruba people and impose it on the Yoruba culture. And that is bound to lead to a lot of agitations and unrest. So I think it's, for me, it's just a strong desire on the part of Daudu or whatever to gain unnecessary recognition. It's actually disgusting, actually.
So the outcry from the Afenifere and all that they can back down, given the fact that the Grand Mufti even went further to say that if you challenge us, that's if you challenge the establishment of the Sharia courts in Oyo State and other Western states in Nigeria, we'll be able to beat you senseless and bring you to understand that it must stay. Do you think that with this, the talk by people, because he come up to say that he's giving a stern warning to people who are opposing the establishment of the Sharia court in the West, that they should desist from it. Do you think that this talk, the way we're discussing it now, the way Afenifere in Europe have talked about it, is going to make them to back down? Because he went further to ask them to choose another date for the inauguration of the Sharia court already built in your state.
Well, if everyone is to take note of his belligerence and his pugnacious attitude in propagating it, you would think he's propagating a jihad. That itself is a red flag for us. Why should you want to establish a law with such a threat to the entire society? It already tells us that it's not going to generate peace. Because all of this, these are all the implications of what we are saying. Why would you be belligerent over it? Why are you not dialoguing? Why are you not trying to present your family and all of that? Because you have no point. The entire Southwest society is at peace. They don't need that law. There are laws working there and society is functioning. Now you want to introduce your own from the whims of your mind. You take a census in Yoruba land, I'm sure a huge population, more population than he would muster, would be against it. Because, they don't understand what he's talking about. So I think he's just trying to get attention for himself and then start another trouble, as is customary of them. There's no need for Sharia. Sharia has never operated in the southern part of Nigeria. And so why is he bringing it now? What has gone wrong? What is defective in the system? What is inadequate in the laws and it's insisting? And insisting with such belligerence and pugnacity. So that alone is enough reason to step it down.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chris Ojekere, for your thoughts there. Let's bring it back to the studio now. And let me come to Prince Francis Chilaka. Now, it's interesting to say that Sharia is not being practiced, but I saw a video the other day on social media where a young girl was flogged by 3 men for taking alcohol at a party. So she was, and it was in a Muslim school, one of these Muslim schools with the people there clothed in hijab and Muslim attire, and she was flogged. Is that not a Sharia practice? Mm-hmm. Now, that's not the question really, but you may respond to that. But the question truly is this conversation around establishing Sharia in the Southwest. Is it a subtle way of Islamizing Nigeria? And I say this because some time back, I think I've also given this explanation here before. Some time back, I tried to open a register in an application, Microsoft, one of these Microsoft applications. And when I entered my area code, Nigeria, what came down was Arabic, Islamic words. I'm like, I don't even understand what this is. And I made further inquiries, and I was informed that in the eyes of some of these organizations, world organizations, Nigeria is already being perceived as an Islamic nation. Are we deceiving ourselves? Or is there something else that somebody isn't telling us? Are we truly a secular nation?
I'll take us a little bit history down.
Okay, feel free to do
And I'm going to do that because we seem to play too much in this country. We seem to take a lot for granted. And we also have a situation where those who lead us, as as our government, most times they just close their eyes to.
Sorry. I just realized that I didn't lay the premise to my first question about the girl being flogged. That happened in Ilorin. Had to say that. Yes.
Yeah, in Ilorin.
Go ahead.
Let me just hold you there. In Ilorin, they practice Sharia.
Practice Sharia.
They have Sharia courts in Ilorin, but it's not pronounced.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is not. Don't forget that the whole thing in Ilorin is more like is seen as is part of the north. So they see it as part of the Muslim north. You see, where I was going to is that when our former President Buhari was in power, and the headsmen started claiming right to graze land, land for grazing and all of that, and became very authoritative. Initially, we know that headsmen carry sticks. But when they started entering people's farms and destroying their crops, before you know it, they started carrying guns. Before you know it, the government tried to find a way to justify the nonsense they were doing at that time. And one of those was when they wanted to introduce Ruga. So it's unfortunate that the government, as at that time, gave birth to the Boko Haram you have today because of the subtle way and manner they handled the stupidity of the headsmen. Now, running up to the 2023 elections, when we had a Muslim ticket, a lot of us came out and said, this is not good for Nigeria. And then, those who packaged APC came out and told us that after all, Abiola
And King
Gibe are Muslims. But what they forgot at that time was that Nigerians were united and Nigerians were living in peace. Nobody talked about, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, nobody, because I went to a school that we had about, I would say we had about 60% Muslim, but it was not pronounced. Now, you see, what is playing out in the Southwest is the same thing that the Fulanis did when Buhari was in power. You have a Muslim ticket. So the imams, the sheikhs, they're testing the waters to see how far it will go.
Are they really testing the waters?
That is what they're doing.
That you're already standing on the words
They are testing the waters.
You can recall that even our constitution also, gave way for
Fina,
Sharia.
I have said it severally here and in other platforms. That document needs to go for Nigeria to survive.
And if you also check our notes, the money we use in Nigeria, we have
That
some things in script
needs
on it
to
also
go.
in Arabic.
As long as we keep holding on to that obnoxious document as a constitution, Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. You have a constitution that says Nigeria is a secular state. In that same document, it recognizes Sharia.
Yes, it does.
In that same document, your Naira has Islamic inscription on it.
It's a new design that have that. I don't think it was there at the issue.
So what I'm trying to say in effect is that, well, my Southwestern brothers, my Yoruba brothers, we know son Asabi drink alcohol. We know son Asabi go nightclub. You need to understand the implication of that Sharia. The moment you introduce Sharia, Sharia court has the Sharia police.
The Hizbah.
And once they come in, alcohol and all kinds of things will be prohibited. So anybody that is telling you, it's just about the life of the Muslim. In other words, what they're also saying is that we should have Christian courts set up across the country. Because I'm coming.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, those who have been saying that we cannot negotiate one Nigeria, they they're indirectly setting the tone for that negotiation.
Okay. Okay. Now, but I think the bone of contention here is what you have touched on. In a Sharia court, let's assume, let's take it for granted there's a Sharia court in a certain local government. Now, you are a Christian and you live in that local government area. If you drink alcohol, which is against the Muslim law, will Hizbah arrest you and take you to a Sharia court? Now, let's take, for instance, Oyo State, Ibadan in Oyo State. If there's a Sharia court in Ibadan, in Oyo State, and a Christian normally gets into a pub and takes alcohol, when Hizbah does Hizbah have the right to come after him or to come after Muslims who drink alcohol?
I'll tell you my experience
Okay.
with Sharia in Zamfara State. I was in Zamfara for almost 4 years.
Okay.
During the time of, what's his name, the governor who actually brought it, Yerima.
Sani.
Now, one thing I observed was that even as a Christian, you can't drink beer in public. Let us be very sincere with ourselves.
Okay.
The only place we could go and drink beer was at the Mami market. In that place, who are you to come and talk of Sharia inside the Mami market? Yes, that's the only place. So you find out that even the Muslims who you see during the day talking about Sharia, in the evening,
They drink.
they come to the Mami market, then they drink to stupor. So what you're not saying is, don't forget that the Hizbah police that arrest trucks and trucks carrying alcohol, they don't arrest it whether it is Christian or Muslim. They just clamp down on it.
Okay.
See, what I'm going to say is this. Everybody should be entitled to practice their religion the way they want. But what I don't understand is why we, Nigerians, we end up fighting for our gods when the God should be fighting for itself. I've never seen a situation where an ordinary being is fighting for the spirits. Allow the spirit to fight their fight.
Okay. All right then. Well, let me take it back to Edo State, where Mr. Chris is still standing by. Now, with the nomadic nature of cattle rearers, sorry, I'm going to bring this into the conversation now. The cattle rearers and their nomadic nature. We know that the government of Nigeria has plans to establish ranches in Lagos and Ogun states, and that's, in the scheme of a brother movement to establish ranches in other places like Igbo, Cross River, Adamawa, Taraba, Kebbi, ranches to be established. Let's also put in perspective that the 2025 budget allocates a total of 315 million naira for the establishment of these ranches. Should we be concerned with the establishment of ranches in Lagos and Ogun? And I say this in light of the nomadic nature of the rearers of these cattle.
It's very, very concerned if we know the history. What we are calling the Muslim North today, the history of the local tribes, the Hausa tribes, the Junkun, all the other tribes that make up the North, we are not Muslims. Muslims religion came in through and the story of how they settled it. So in the entire northern Nigeria today are more Muslims than those who brought Islamic religion there, with all the implications. So you don't do, and that's one problem I have with federalism. The kind of federal practice here, we have to practice, a unitary system of government. The federal government sits down there and dreams up policies that he has not even contacted the unit states, whether they are, interested in those policies. I know for sure that the South of Nigeria, especially the South and the Southeast, do not care about establishing ranches. If we want to rear cattle and rear ourselves, we develop our own laws in our states. Our houses of assembly will develop our laws, and then those who are going to do the job and all of that will be spread out. So, but when you just come up with a policy easy in a volatile country like Nigeria, then maybe they have not spent it out. Who are going to be those operating those ranches, and who are going to be those keeping the cattle and all of that? The people of Ogun State and the people of Lagos State, the original aborigines of those states. And with this, have you consulted them? And the same all other states, have you consulted them? Do the people want it? You don't create policy for people. You create policy. It's what come up to say we're agitating for all. If you do it, you benefit us that you do. You don't create policy and impose it on people. So many states, we have tried it. Buhari tried to do it with all sorts of names, Ruga and all of that. We saw the backlash. We saw the resistance from different states. And their resistance have not gone away because the activities of running two business right now in the various states of the federation are activities that are highly inimical to our society. I should think that what the government should concern himself with, first of all, is how to purge our country of bandits and terrorists. So let us know that we own our country. We have a bandit threatening in the north to the bandit, and the military forces have not been able to get has been there forever. So the government should first of all address those concerns. We have a lot of bandits in our forests in the south committing atrocities. They are not hitting the new headlines, but they are doing things. They are robbing villages, they are kidnapping people, and they are doing terrible things in the south. What the government should first of all do is to ensure that the security situation and Nigeria will feel their safety, and then whatever he can do to integrate his citizens before he begins to build on a foundation that's already faulty, that is fraught with danger, that is inimical, that is actually existential. So he should first of all think of how to bring back confidence. Let's know that we are safe and we can live with everybody. So it's a very poorly thought out policy as far as I'm concerned, because it's a policy that has not taken into consideration the historical antecedents of the situation we have with that kind of business, in Nigeria right now.
Someone asked a question and then I can't, I wanted to process that, but I found that I can't do it on my own. And the question is, are they going to create, more like Sabongeri for the people of Oyo State? Because that is what is being done in most of the other states where they practice Sharia law. I would like to get your opinion on that, also as to give us a concluding thought, because of price of time. Mr. Chris Ojekere. Mr. Chris, can you hear me?
Can you hear me too?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, so I said it is possible. I mean that's part of the big problem that we're talking about. In the north, because they are predominantly Muslim and have embraced that religion, they created Sebongari. Sebongari is actually supposed to be a place carved out for strangers, those who are not called Northerners, or as you have in Kano State. Now, are you going to ask the Muslim man in Molete Ibadan or wherever to move to a corner of Ibadan because he wants to drink beer and he now becomes Sebongari in Ibadan town? That's what I was referring to. The sociocultural realities cannot allow that. So what you are asking is that your own religion, because it has to be practiced, will now come and you superimpose us. And then you ask us to be strangers in our own place. That cannot happen. That's why we must continue to emphasize secularity. So the truth of the matter is that it's not workable. There's no way you can act, and you can watch, except you as the Muslim community who want to practice your Sharia, you all intend to move to one corner and stay. With the Yoruba man who is a Muslim, decide to push to one corner of Ibadan or of Ogun State because you say you are practicing your Sharia. Some of those things are just things that people have properly before they come out to say. So I think that will not stand. And as my parting shot, we would like to advise our brothers and sisters in the southern part of Nigeria that we all have common threatening us. We should face those problems. I would have thought that this man waiting for how beggars from all over the north are lining up our streets in the south, constituting nuisance because they have refused to accept, Western education. If we were pushing for our governments in the south to create schools or to insist that those beggars, and that's what our southern governors should do if they want to reduce the influx of beggars, they should insist that those underage children that you have in the southern state must go to school and get education. So if they are in the state, they shouldn't be on our streets begging. The condition for staying in the state is that they go to school. If they go to school, they will be enlightened and we will have less tension and troubles from them. But they are there in our city streets. They are lining up the streets. They are nuisances. They are begging and all of that. And nobody is advocating for that. You are advocating for the Sharia law. You are not talking about how to get those people into school. I thought that those objectives is what we should be pursuing. So for me, they should keep their fingers crossed and stay the fire. We don't want to have any kind of trouble in the south and insurrections and all of that. Then just perish that idea of Sharia in this any southern part of the state of the country.
Barrister, I'll also ask you the same question. Are they going to create Sabongeri in Oyo State and other southern states that you're projecting to have the Sharia, court and Sharia law being established? As you also give us a concluding thought. Let's do that in 1 minute.
Good. You see, when you allow evil to fester for too long, with time, it becomes a culture and tradition. One of the reasons why we are even talking about is because we have allowed this sin over the years since 1804. When they imposed themselves on the north and created the Middle Council and all that, by that time, I thought somebody would have said, no, where you are going, we don't want to follow you. But they allowed them. That is why they have finished with the north. They are not bringing it down here. And if we allow it, my dear, don't be deceived. It will spread all over Nigeria. The question is, can you tell me that Muslim state or Sharia state all over the world that is as peaceful as Christian states? All the hotbeds you have today, they are all in these same areas. From Libya to Syria to Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. You know that before now, these people most of them were Christian states until the jihadists took over them, and the rest is history. So when you have a people who are not good neighbors, who are not known to be good neighbors, why do you want to bring them as your neighbor? Have they proved to be good neighbors? Please, have they proved to be good neighbors for you to even say, okay, let us manage them?
Barrister, we'll take
so we don't want such a thing in here because of the wider implication.
Okay,
our girls will not be stopped from going to school. That's the first thing. They will not be married off at 10 years. Look, you think it's a joke, Abi? Don't worry, let them succeed. Let them succeed in what they are going to do.
Prince Francis, let's get a concluding thought in 1 minute.
I remember you talked about ranches. And my position on ranches has always been that it's a business. Government should not be involved in it. Government should actually stay off it completely. We have people who are doing spare parts and all of that. They go and rent a place to do their business. Those who want to do cow and everything, allow them to go and rent space. Don't create ranches for people because you want to propagate a particular religion or a particular sect of people. It is going to create chaos in this country.
Thank you so much, Prince Francis.
With taxpayers' money.
All right, thank you so much, Prince Francis Tilaka, political analyst. Thank you, Barrister Darlington Agumo, VOPTV in-house analyst. And thank you also, Mr. Chris Ojekere, who is a public affairs analyst and a political commentator, for being part of today's show. We sincerely appreciate. And then I'm Fina Okechukwu, and I want us all to be patriotic citizens as we have been all this while to this is end of 2024. And as we step into 2025 tomorrow, I wish us a wonderful, a productive, and a prosperous new year.
All right, well, that's it on the show. Join us again at 9 o'clock for newspaper review. But from VOP this morning, this is the last VOP this morning for the year 2024. I'll see you in 2025. I'm Moses Humphrey. Bye for now.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. See you in 2025. Thanks for everything you did in 2024.
What did they do?
Father Christmas.
Bye for now. Bye for now.